so we're going to look at problem 1-50. Okay. And 150 asks you to solve for the given triangle. And whenever it says solve for the triangle, it just means find all the missing sides and angles. I'm going to go ahead and build this. We know that this is angle B, this is angle C, and this is angle A. We also know that this is a right triangle, and that this angle is 38 degrees, and we also know that this is 15 centimeters. One thing you'll notice about the sides is the sides are always opposite the angles. Okay, so side C is across from side C, okay, and B is across from side B, okay, because the relationship between an angle and an opposite angle and a side is true. So the bigger angle B gets, the bigger its opposite side will get. Alright, so with that said, you have a right triangle, we need to solve the missing sides. When you have a right triangle, and you know one of the angles, we can use SOHCAHTOA, okay, where you have sine, cosine, and tangent. And then you have three other letters, O, A, and H, which is opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent, which describe the location of each of these sides in relation to the angle. So there's a lot there, but let's break this down. Okay, so we're going to start with our angle. Our angle is 38 degrees. That's the angle we're talking about, angle B. So what we're going to do now is we're going to label each of our sides. And we know that our hypotenuse is H, so we can call this H. Because it's across from the 90. And then our opposite side is the side across from the angle, so it's B, so we can label this O. And then our adjacent side is here, we'll call that A. Alright, with that information, the only side we know is A, and we need to find our B and our C sides. So we'll start off with using the ratio cosine. So the reason I'm going to use cosine is this. Cosine uses adjacent and hypotenuse, which is my A and my H. So we'll say cosine of 38 degrees is equal to 15 over H, which is my side C. Okay. Now we want to get C alone, so we're going to multiply each side by C. These cancel. So now we get C cosine C times cosine of 38 equals 15. Remember, we're getting C alone, so the last move here, divide each side by cos 38, and I'm just going to abbreviate it COS, cos 38. Make sure your calculator is in degrees. All of this will cancel, and we'll get C is equal to about 19.04 centimeters. Okay. So that's our first side. Okay, so it's this guy, our hypotenuse. Now this should make a lot of sense because our hypotenuse is our longest leg, which 19 is bigger than 15. So again, now we're going to look at our opposite side, and our opposite side we can use actually any of the trig ratios here, but let's keep it clean. The easiest one would be to use whatever has the 15 in it, which is A. So if we're doing this one, we're going to use opposite and adjacent, which is tangent. So we'll do tangent of 38 is equal to opposite, which we don't know, B over our adjacent, which is 15. And the 15 is just a cleaner. Same move, multiply by 15. Multiply by 15, get rid of that denominator. So now we have 15 tangent of 38 equals B. Plug that in your calculator, make sure you're in degrees. B will approximately equal 11.7. And we're usually rounding the nearest tenth in here, so I know on that earlier one I did 19.04. But we'll round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so this side B, is 11.7 centimeters. which also makes sense with our numbers. Okay? And then the last thing is we need to find this missing angle, this guy right here. Well, if I know two of my angles, one is 38 and one is 90, I can just add those two angles up. So angle A will equal 90 plus 38, which equals 128. And then we know there's 180 degrees in a triangle, so 180 minus 128 will give us angle A equals 52 degrees, which would be our last angle, which would be here, 52. Okay. All right, so there's obviously a lot here, and it all depends on what you're given, and then choosing which ratio to use. All right, I hope this was helpful.